Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer brought to you by Forge College. If you're transitioning your engineering mindset from Ethereum's EVM to Solana's SVM, you already know the devil is in the details, right? Today, we're demystifying a really crucial piece of that puzzle, mapping Ethereum's error handling models directly into Solana's SVM using Rust and Anchor. It's an absolutely essential cross-cutting concern, and honestly, getting it wrong can completely break your decentralized applications in some seriously unexpected ways.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our engineering blueprint for today. 1. The transition to errors. 2. The Solidity playbook. 3. The panic pitfall. 4. Anchor structured errors. 5. Debugging the translation. And finally, 6. The 3 golden rules. Section 1. The transition to errors, event logs, and flow. We spend a lot of time meticulously modeling events. But if your control flow and your error handling are poorly designed, those beautifully modeled event logs might never actually be seen by your off-chain listeners. Error handling isn't just about stopping bad inputs, it dictates exactly what on-chain traces are left behind. Which brings us to the central mystery of today's explainer. Imagine you trigger a transaction that should fail. You expect a detailed log, but instead, nothing. Your precious event logs simply vanish into thin air. No way, right? So why does a naive translation from Solidity to Rust sometimes cause this complete blackout? Well, to solve this mystery, we first need to look back at where we came from.
Section 2. The Solidity playbook. Require, revert, assert.
Before we fix the Rust implementation, let's briefly establish the old mental model. Think of Solidity's error handling as a polite bouncer. In the Solidity world, require acts as that bouncer, checking user inputs and simply turning them away with a quick note if they fail. No fuss, no property damage. Then you've got revert, for clean, transaction-level aborts, which stops execution and returns a data payload explaining the issue. And finally, assert is kind of like the club manager checking the vault. It's for internal invariant checks that mathematically should never fail unless there's a critical bug in the contract. Everything rolls back safely, and you get your error message.
Section 3. The panic pitfall. Rust panic versus require.
Now, here's the inciting incident. An experienced Solidity developer sits down to write an Anchor program. They look at their old require statements, they look at Rust, and they translate a Solidity guard directly into a Rust panic. But here's the catch. In a Solana program, a panic doesn't act like a polite bouncer. It acts like an overdramatic fire alarm. It literally bulldozes the entire building, instantly incinerating any event logs you tried to emit right before the failure. They're just dropped completely. And even worse, off-chain clients receive a generic opaque program error. Your TypeScript tests can't assert on a specific code, retry strategies can't figure out what went wrong, and your monitoring dashboards are just totally blind.
Section 4. Anchor structured errors. The error_code macro.
So how do we solve our missing logs mystery? Well, we replace that fire alarm with a smart bouncer holding a clipboard, the @errorprod macro. Anchor provides this incredibly powerful tool to define a custom error enum directly in your program crate. Instead of panicking, you define the exact ways your program can fail. Anchor automatically generates stable numeric codes and binds them to human-readable messages. This completely saves the day. By returning a structured error instead of a panic, your program halts safely, any previously emitted logs are perfectly preserved, and your off-chain clients get a specific stable numeric code they can actually test against and rely on.
So the absolutely crucial point here is how we systematically map our old habits to this new reality. Let's walk through this translation matrix. When you see a require in Solidity, do not use panic. Just don't do it. Instead, define your error in an enum and use Anchor's require macro, passing in the condition and your specific custom error. When you see a revert, again, instead of panicking, use return error error. This builds a really nice idiomatic layer right on top of Rust's result type. And for assert, in Rust, you should only use assert or panics strictly for internal invariants. And listen, you must document them heavily, knowing they represent a catastrophic failure, not just a normal user input error.
Section 5. Debugging translation. Fixing naive code.
Let's see how this builds into a rock-solid debugging workflow in your daily dev life. Step 1. You run your Anchor test against the naive panic implementation. Step 2. You pull up the logs and observe the generic failure. You'll literally see a generic program abort with a totally unreadable identifier. Step 3. You go into your code, define the error code enum, and swap the panic for a structured require macro. Step 4. You rerun your test. And suddenly, the test fails not with a generic crash, but with your beautiful, human-readable custom error message and a stable numeric code. Plus, all your prior event logs are perfectly visible. Now, as you implement these structured errors, I need you to adopt a really critical mindset shift. You absolutely must treat your error enum as a highly strict versioned API contract. Once your program is deployed, off-chain indexers, UI dashboards, and automated retry bots are all relying on the specific numeric codes. Adding new error variants to the end of your enum? Totally safe and backwards compatible. But removing them or changing their order so the numeric codes shift? That is a massive breaking change that will silently destroy your off-chain infrastructure. Treat those error codes like gold for sure.
Section 6. The 3 Golden Rules Daily Dev Checklist.
Let's synthesize all of these concepts into a final checklist. If you take literally nothing else away from this explainer, memorize this core mantra. Use structured errors for all user-facing signals and recoverable inputs. Reserve panic strictly for unrecoverable internal invariants, things that mathematically should never happen unless the contract itself is fundamentally broken. And finally, always document the debugging rationale. If you use an assert or panic, write a comment explaining exactly why it must hold true. That way, the next engineer actually understands your mental model.
I want to leave you with a provocative thought to challenge your future coding habits. Every single time you type out a new precondition check in your smart contract, I want you to pause and ask yourself, is this a user error that needs a stable code? Is it an internal invariant that should trigger a catastrophic halt? Or is it just a soft validation where we log and move on? Making this conscious choice will absolutely transform the reliability of your decentralized applications. To dive deeper into these patterns and access more cutting-edge Web3 engineering blueprints, head over to forgecollege.college. Thank you for tuning in and keep building.